All right, welcome to another video update for Luna. And at the moment, the count has changed a little simply because of the price action, and we never saw a break above that purple dotted line. So whilst price maintains underneath that purple dotted line, I've also taken a look at the previous count, which might have been a wave one and the start of a wave B zigzag as per the previous update. So far, I cannot really see this being a wave 4 correction, meaning that it might continue to go lower. What I can see though, potentially, are just the small beginnings of potentially the move that's coming that might take it higher. And the reason for that is simply put, if I just go down to the 5-minute chart, right at the bottom is the most important part of this the beginning of the move, because I can see a wave one, I can see an A B C D E pattern there, which would be a very small 1-2 pattern. Right now, if you want to take the fib to that, the Fibonacci retracement for that initial drop is already past 0.786. So not a big deal, but just a very small wave. Now, these very small waves can happen. I mean, I've seen them happen a couple of times. Even at the top of this entire move, wave one was not that big at all, right? Wave one was basically this move. Actually, I'll take it back a bit further. It was this move here, right? So this move here being wave one, not really that big. And then we had a 1, 2, and then we had another 1, 2. So it did get bigger. Obviously, this was a big move, but to start off a move, the wave 1 and 2 at the small degree, they're not always that big. So at this stage, that's what I'm thinking it is. So there's no reason to believe that it's not that. Simply because if the preceding move happened to be another 5-wave move, well, that would have been, if this was like a wave A zigzag to the top, then that means that this C wave would have been far larger than the A wave. So for that to be a zigzag there, we'd have to look for potentially a B wave, and then a C wave, and then basically a D and an E, right? So uh, not really seeing anything that's a D and E unless this is a D and E. If that's the case, then, well, potentially this thing could be going down for one more low, which to me just doesn't seem right. It doesn't look right. It doesn't feel right. So therefore, I'm keeping this count at the moment, where this is like a 1-2 1-2 pattern. Now, if price action goes below the red line, which is supposed to be the end of the first little mini wave 1 and 2, the end of wave 2, it's at 0.000075, then I'd have to seriously consider the the bearish option. But at the moment, I can see like an A and a B, so a 3-3 and then a 5. I can see a C. I can see a little mini wave D there, 3-wave move. Now, this particular move I've seen before, very similar to another E wave I've seen in the past. Basically, it just indicates that the 5-wave move cannot really produce a strong 5-wave move. So you sometimes you see this type of pattern, right? And then after that, I suppose we've seen this little move up with a bit of a sideways correction. So could this one be the start of the next leg up? Well, the first clue would be if we break that dotted line, because that would mean that we'd see a break above the start of wave E, which is a critical component to the whole Arias wave methodology, if it's correctly identified. That's the problem with getting the interpretations right, is identification of the waves, which I make very clear in my upcoming book, which I'm still working on. So for now, you're just going to have to just follow me with this until I get that one out. It's probably going to be much cheaper than doing the course from the website, depending on your situation. So, I mean, first up, I can see up here that that's definitely a wave A. It looks like a zigzag. There's no doubt in my mind. This one looks also like a zigzag with a bit more of an expanded correction inside the B wave, because the B wave, according to Elliott wave, is only 3 waves, but the B wave, according to Arias wave, is 5 waves. Okay, except at this small degree, you can't really see them all. Pulling that apart at this point doesn't seem like an important thing to do. After that, we can see what appears to be a 5 wave move. Potentially could be type 1 weak 5 wave move. And then we have a clear cut D wave, which is definitely pretty small. And then that E wave I told you about. So basically, at this point in time, the areas of importance are basically right within this area here, right? This area here, whichever side it breaks out of this, will determine where it's going, right? If it breaks above that line, I have more confidence that it's going to keep going higher. If it breaks below that line, and especially the one below it, I'm gonna think twice on that one and potentially have to come up with another wave count. But at this point, it doesn't seem likely that anything else is happening, and we need to see more evidence because it's such a small time frame, right? And also because it was such a large drop. These kinds of moves can definitely start off a little bit choppy, right? Now, to give you an example of this, I'll just take you back to the DJI chart for a moment, just on the daily. Now, apart from obviously the latest big fall that happened in 2020, I want to just take you back and just so you can have a look at the 1987 crash, because I do believe this will provide like a bit of an example of a situation where a market has completely collapsed or collapsed quite substantially, and it's just done a lot of choppy price action before it's taken off back to the upside again. Okay, so this is an example right here. Uh, Obviously, we haven't seen a bounce like that yet, and this being a daily chart, you know, not all patterns are going to be the same. But as you can see, there was a lot of choppiness before this thing started to move higher again, right? Not saying that it's exactly the same wave, but waves, although they're not exactly the same, they do tend to, you know, history more or less rhymes. It's not exact, but it kind of rhymes. So giving you that example there is one perspective that I'm having with regards to the situation right now, and also the fact that we haven't really seen much time go past yet since that's happened, and also because of the sideways price action. At the moment, it's way too early to know exactly what's going to happen. But if I'm to bring you any update, that's what it is. Um, like having these kinds of moves up with shallow or weaker, longer duration corrections to the side usually does indicate that there is probably some interest in this market. I know that a lot of people talk about the market cap, which is obviously gone above 6.5 trillion, right? But at the same time, markets can sometimes behave in ways that are unexpected. uh, who gives these coins their value? in the first place, right? It's the collective, right? I'm sure we've all seen it where there's been a supply of 50 billion coins and the thing's gone, you know, straight up for a period of time. Um, so market cap, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know how many they're burning per day. Also, insider knowledge and potential recovery plan. Which, to be honest with you, the recovery plan doesn't seem that legitimate, especially if you're talking about forking this thing off. But once again, I think it's up to the market to decide. The market is the one that dictates price. Of course, there are fundamental factors and non-believers, but then again, you could say that about a lot of different times throughout different cryptos history where non-believers didn't make any money. So could this be an opportunity to buy? We don't know. I'm not a financial advisor. I wouldn't recommend putting your life savings into this just because it's cheap. I do believe that we are in the midst of a larger downturn across the cryptos, but that's something that's still unfolding, and it doesn't mean that it's going to happen in a straight line. It doesn't matter that we're going to, I mean, it doesn't mean that we're going to see a 1987 style crash across cryptos and the whole entire broader markets, stock market included. But once again, these things don't crash in a straight line. So this one could be one of the first that's crashed. It might be the crash that all other cryptos may experience. This one just happened to happen earlier, and might be one of the ones that recover before the rest of them even have their crash or finish their crash. So, I mean, you can go into a bunch of reasons. You can try and use all your fundamental knowledge. Here we are just, having a good time observing some waves and, you're getting some daily updates now for this because it's of interest. So let's keep that going and let's see if we can break that last high there at around uh, 0.00029, and then hopefully tomorrow I have some better news for you. So thanks for listening. I'll catch you on the next one.